Wow, best Spider-Man movie by a mile, one of the best superhero movies ever created, and it may well be one of the best movies that you have ever seen. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So I cannot believe the day is finally here that we get to review Spider-Man No Way Home. The highly anticipated and long-awaited movie has finally been released, and don't worry, there won't be any spoilers in this video. This is going to be my complete non-spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home, and I can honestly say that despite all of the massive leaks that this movie had, it really will still surpass all of your expectations. I mean, I quite literally loved every single minute of this movie, and you just want more and more and more of it, as it is just so good. I mean, it's really unbelievable all of the brilliant things that they were able to achieve in this movie, as it just blends everything together so well without feeling overstuffed, and ultimately is just such an amazing love letter to the Spider-Man fans. And it really does celebrate everything that's happened in the Spider-Man legacy movies. I mean, it doesn't try to discredit anything, it doesn't try to rewrite anything. I mean, other superhero movie characters, where there have been different versions, they kind of reset everything all the time. Whereas this time, it just really does package everything into a beautiful little suite. And in turn, it is just such an awesome movie, and I cannot wait to break it down with you in this spoiler-free review. So this movie has an excellent opening sequence that picks up directly from the end of Far From Home. So the whole world now knows Peter Parker's secret identity, that he is the Spider-Man character, and you can really feel Peter's world literally closing in around him, and you can experience what it would be like if the whole world knew the truth about who Spider-Man is, and I feel like they played that out really, really well. Afterwards, it does kind of play out as you have seen it in the trailers. For example, Doctor Strange's spell going wrong, where he is trying to make the whole world forget about the truth of Spider-Man's secret identity. And when the spell goes wrong, this is what introduces all of the villains into the MCU. Peter, Ned, and MJ then want to try and save the day, whereas Doctor Strange wants to send them back to a universe in which they're going to die in, which obviously creates a lot of conflict between Spider-Man and with Doctor Strange, which is absolutely brilliant. And then, as you can imagine, absolute chaos is then ensuing. But don't worry, I won't say anything else in terms of the storyline of this movie. Now, from a positive point of view, like I said earlier on, the thing that I really love about this Marvel universe is that it really does respect everything that's happened beforehand. And this movie is just the perfect example of this, as the villains are the exact same characters that you remember them from in the Sam Raimi and the Mark Webb series. So it is just so brilliant having them lifted and shifted and placed in here. And as you can imagine, all of the sequences with all of the multiverse characters are just so phenomenal. All of the worlds perfectly blend together, and all of the characters just interacting with one another is just pure joy, and it is just such an awesome thing that they've achieved. I mean, plenty of Easter eggs scattered in across this movie, and as you can imagine, and as everyone has been saying, the Norman Osborn and Green Goblin character really is the epitome of pure evil, and in turn, there are some super emotional sequences taking place in this movie. However, from a negatives point of view, I mean, there are very few negatives that I can even pull out in this movie, but if I was to be super nitpicky, I guess they could have explored some of the villains outside of the Spider-Man situation a little bit more, and also some of the emotional deeper beats. I feel like the Amazing Spider-Man series and the first Sam Raimi series maybe did get them slightly better, but like I said, this is me being super nitpicky. Otherwise, this movie is honestly absolutely flawless from a storyline point of view. So the cast and characters really do make Spider-Man No Way Home the movie that it is, the movie event that it is, and it's just absolutely brilliant seeing all of them coming together in this multiverse brilliant piece of artwork, which I just cannot believe is actually happening, because it is just so good. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, we have Tom Holland, who is absolutely terrific in the role of Spider-Man and in the role of Peter Parker as well. I feel like they blend those two worlds and those two characters really well. I mean, all of the Spider-Man movies, actually, to their credit, have balanced Peter Parker and Spider-Man as well. And in this movie, they definitely do that as well. And he is just so good in the role of Spider-Man, and really does show all of the brilliant range of emotion. So for example, from panic to humor to raw pain and raw emotion and to true anger as well. I know a few years ago, people really were questioning Tom Holland's acting abilities, and in this movie, he really does prove all of the haters wrong, as he is just so good in this film. The character literally just does go through so much, and you're really with him through every single step in that, and I just feel like Tom Holland absolutely smashed it in this role. Next up we have Zendaya, who is returning as the MJ character. She has brilliant one-liners, as she has done in all of the other Spider-Man movies in which she's appeared in. I feel like she matches Peter Parker's energy really, really well. And actually she just matches the mood of the particular scenes really, really well. Similarly, I mean, Zendaya is an absolutely formidable actress, and she really is showing a lot of range herself in this movie too, and she is just such a great partner, not only to Peter Parker, but also to all of the other characters actually in this film, and she just brings so much heart and warmth in her performance. Next up we have Jacob Batalon, who is returning as the Ned character, and surprisingly, he was really, really great in this movie. I mean, in the previous 2 installments, he has kind of been a bit of a throwaway comedy value actor, whereas this time he really is a valuable team member while still bringing the comedy value, which is really, really great. And I just absolutely loved all of the trio sequences. I mean, it's a trio that you never thought you needed in your life, as they are just bringing so much brilliance to the screen in this movie. Next up, of course, we have to talk about Benedict Cumberbatch. Honestly, I feel like Doctor Strange is literally saving the superhero world right now, as he is just such an awesome character that is just capable of creating so much awesomeness. I mean, if you've seen the What If series as well, you'll totally agree that the Doctor Strange character really is smashing it at the moment, and he is just working really, really well in the Spider-Man universe and world of different characters as well. I mean, he's in it quite a lot. They do take him out of the picture for a little while so that it can really be focused on the Spider-Man characters, and on that point, this movie really is Tom Holland's movie. I know there were a couple of fears in terms of, is it going to be other characters' movies? Is it going to feel overstuffed like Spider-Man 3 was? But I can clearly say that this is definitely Tom Holland's film, and he is definitely the centerpiece of this film, holding it all together, and all of the other characters, all of the other multiverse characters, and all of the other attributes in this film really does complement that, including Doctor Strange, who, like I said, is just such an MVP himself, and just blends and works together really, really well in this universe. Next up we have Willem Dafoe, who is awesome as well as Norman Osborn. Literally lifted and shifted from the Sam Raimi universe into this world, and Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, are such brilliant characters and villains in the comic book series and in all of the animations as well. And over here they really do bring that demonic evil side of this character out, and I feel like Willem Dafoe, honestly, he does so much stuff in this movie, really is the epitome of devilish evil. And I just love how they returned initially his look and feel from this first Sam Raimi movie, but then they did kind of modernize it, but they did it in a really natural and authentic way, which, like I said before, didn't discredit anything that happened in the past, while still seeing the original costume as well, which I just thought was absolutely wicked. We also have Alfred Molina, of course, who is returning as the Doc Ock character, and I'm pleased and glad to say that you see him a lot more than just the bridge scene, which we've only really seen this character be exposed to. And he is just such an awesome character as well. Obviously did make the Spider-Man 2 movie absolutely tremendous, and he is just working also, like all of the other characters are, in this MCU multiverse space absolutely brilliantly. Of course, next we have Jamie Foxx's Electro, and I really did love the fact that initially have very similar attributes to how you last saw him in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but then certain things happen, which really does make him look and feel exactly like you have seen him in the comic books, which, like I said, is just such a natural and authentic way in which of achieving that. And I feel like this villain was always so brilliantly written in the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, so that you can really sympathize and understand and somewhat relate to this character in a very different way / similar way to how you can relate to Peter Parker. So I just feel like Jamie Foxx's Electro is just bringing so much brilliant energy into this movie. We also have J.K. Simmons, who is returning as the J. Jonah Jameson character, a slightly different version to how you've last seen him in the Sam Raimi universe, but nonetheless is still hell-bent on trying to make the world really hate the Peter Parker and Spider-Man characters. We also have Marisa Tomei, who was absolutely unbelievable in this movie. I won't spoil anything, but this actress is just absolutely fantastic in this film, and just like with all of the other characters, just blends together with the ensemble so well. Of course, we have Jon Favreau, who is always brilliant as the Happy Hogan character, and really is rounding everything off from an MCU point of view, which just means that this brilliant multiverse suite of characters are just absolutely phenomenal in this film. So from a visuals point of view, honestly, this movie should be taking home all of the awards, as it is just such a true cinematic spectacle and masterpiece. There are some brilliant sequences that everyone in my cinema complex were totally cheering at, which just looks so good, and it is just really coming alive. And I know they were working up until the last few minutes and moments on all of the CGI, really making everything pop in this movie, and they just did a brilliant job. Standing ovation to all of the creators, as they did make this movie look absolutely incredible. I mean, even the little things, for example, Peter Parker doing Spidey things, looks really cool. And then you bring in all of the other attributes, for example, all of the villains, all of the flying, all of the true comic book accurate representation of how these characters look, I just feel like was communicated absolutely brilliantly. All of the multiverse aspects of this movie just look absolutely brilliant. I mean, the final battle alone is just so good. All of the raw emotional scenes, you really can connect with all of them as well. All of the sequences where you can feel Spider-Man's world really closing in looks absolutely phenomenal too. All of the mirror dimension scenes that Doctor Strange is taking Spider-Man to, those sequences look absolutely brilliant as well. And actually on that point, all of the magic that Doctor Strange does in this film really is in another league of its own, which really does make it from a visuals point of view absolutely spectacular. So from a comparisons point of view, I am a massive Spider-Man fan. By the way, you can check out all of my reviews for all of the Spider-Man movies, and I will link all of them in the description box below. But anyway, I've watched every single one, and I'm a massive fan of this series. And I have to say, this film is just quite literally in another league of its own. Like I said, it does celebrate everything that's gone on before it, while still just being such a brilliant unit in and of itself. All of the multiverse aspects of this film is just absolutely incredible. All of the storyline beats are really brilliant. All of the character development, all of the character arcs in this film are really cool. I love how they kind of continued the storylines of all of the fantastic villains that we've seen before. I mean, the thing with superhero movies is some of the hero aspects may well be really great, but they do sometimes come at the detriment of brilliant villains. However, in the Spider-Man universe, that is quite literally the opposite, as the villains are so good. In terms of comparing it to other superhero movies, honestly, it really is right up there. I would maybe just put it slightly second to Infinity War and to Endgame, but honestly, this movie is just absolutely phenomenal. So overall, I'm sure you can imagine, I absolutely love Spider-Man No Way Home. Such a spectacular movie, such an amazing film to watch back in the cinema and to really experience with everybody else. I absolutely love the fact that my cinema complex were cheering in certain moments and clapping in other moments. So it really did make it such a brilliant experience. And I genuinely feel like there won't be another film on the same level of Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, maybe Multiverse of Madness will try to do something a little bit different, but from a Spider-Man superfan point of view, I just feel like this is just such a brilliant love letter to the webhead. And so for all of those reasons, I have to give this movie a massive, perfect 10 out of 10 score. Now I'd love to hear from you, so please let me know what you thought of No Way Home in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my spoiler review very soon.